Hello again, everybody. I'm Carl Baldassarre, and today's topic is pedal boards. And specifically, we're going to talk and take a look at my touring pedal board, and let's just dig in. Now, when it comes to pedal boards in terms of kind of philosophies, I think there's two basic types. You can have a direct access pedal board where there's no switching system, and you are basically kind of toe tapping your way through the sounds within a song or from song to song, and that's one way to approach it. And I actually have one of those rigs. It's kind of a gig bag size. It's really quick to go, and I can do quick sideline gigs like that. But for like big touring projects where I have elaborate sort of set lists that I got to work through, or specific sounds or whatever, I don't want to be doing kind of the river dance and tapping a lot during a show. So I'd rather have like a highly programmable rig, and that's the rig I have for my touring rig. The heart of it is going to be the switching system, and I'll get back to that in a minute. But first, I actually want to say that this rig was built by a guy named Brad at Bestronics in Chicago. He does a lot of touring guitar players' rigs, and he custom makes it based on whatever specs you want, whatever kind of layout you like, if you like things on the right versus the left. And he's pretty clever because he gives you a lot of options as to how to get as much pedals into your board. He built this really cool little shelf for me. Ready for this? Ain't that cool? Ta-da! Look at that. Yeah. So anyways, just a shout out to Brad over at Bestronics in Chicago. Thank you, Brad. Great board. Let me give you the lay of the land in terms of just how I get in and out of this board, and then we'll talk about the pedals and we'll talk about the switching system, okay? So I guess basically where to start is, where does the guitar go in? Where does the amp come out? And where does the power go? It's all over here. I have a custom little box here. It's an elevated box, and I have my guitar cable input over here, and then I have two amplifier outs. I've got an amp 1 and an amp 2, so I can run this rig in stereo, or I can run it in dual mono. I'm only running it in single mono right now. And then for power, I have the power cable running in the back with a PowerCon connector, and it goes into a sniffing system, which we'll talk about in a minute, but it's really great because no matter what country I'm in around the world, it's going to sniff what the power source is and make sure that it's regulated and I do not blow up my pedal board, because that's no fun. Done that, been there, don't want to go through that ever again. So that's kind of the in and out routing of the board. Let's take a look at the pedals that I'm using. And I'll break it down into kind of three groups. I'll break it down into kind of the tone gain section, and then we'll talk about the modulation section, and then we'll finally talk about the tone, or rather the time-based pedals. So first, as it relates to the gain and tone pedals, the horse on my board is the Lagrange booster pedal by Bogner, and this gives me that plexi sound, which I love, because if I have any kind of tube amp, I can get really close to a great plexi sound. So whether I have a backline supplied tube amp or I bring my own tube amp, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get, as a starting point, a really good plexi rock sound, which is the base of a lot of my sounds. Added to that, I have some other gain boost pedals. I use the Spark pedal by TC Electronic. It's a great boost pedal, and I'll use that often to kind of boost into the Bogner to give me that extra little saturation that I want. I have this new pedal from Amplitude. It's their X Drive pedal, and it's just a wonderful pedal. It's a Midi pedal, which is great because for gain pedals or distortion pedals to be MIDI controlled, there's not that many great options out there. They're coming out with more and more, but this one's pretty slick. It's new. I'm trying it out. I'm pretty excited about it. It gives me another infinite variety of gains that I can have. And then finally, on the gain side, tone side, I have my trusty old MXR Dynacomp compressor. So I have 4 tone gain pedals. In the realm of the modulation pedals, I have 2. I have the Strymon Mobius pedal. This is really a powerful, deep pedal. Gives me chorus and flange and all sorts of different modulation effects. And it's really, really deep and super powerful. I have on the other end over here, I've got my classic Univibe, my chorus delay Univibe pedal, just a little bit of 70s thing going on there. And then finally, when we move to the time-based pedals, I have 2, and they're both Source Audio pedals, and those are great products because they're so intuitive and they're very easy to kind of operate, even right out of the box. They just make sense to me. I have for my delays, I'm using a Nemesis delay pedal. And then for my reverbs, I'm using the Ventris reverb pedal. Again, both are really great, and they have MIDI programming, which is really cool. I should mention also that I have 4 MIDI pedals on my board. And the 4 MIDI pedals are the X-Drive pedal, the Mobius pedal for modulation, and the delay pedal and the reverb pedal are MIDI programmable. And I'll get back to that in a minute because that gives me a whole nother layer of control and programming and scene setting and scene coloring. Lastly, I have a couple pedals I didn't mention, but I have in my routing system the ability to port in my volume pedal, and I'm using a antique visual volume pedal, which has the really cool kind of Christmas tree lights going up there on the side. And then I also have a Korg tuner. And then finally, and those are actually have separate inputs and outputs in my switching system. And lastly, I have my mini Crybaby. I have that at the front end of the chain. It's not going through the switching system because I want my guitar to go right through the wah, have nice clean sound at the front end. And I used to use the full size wah pedals, but I've really grown to like these little mini pedals because I just like the way that I can have real good control of kind of the opening and closing of the throat of the sound on the pedal. And plus, the fact that it's so small, I can get my foot on here and not, actually step on other buttons. If it was really big, sometimes I hit other buttons because I'm like getting to the tip of the pedal. So this one really helps me not step on any other buttons. And I have to label it wah because sometimes I'm using my volume pedal. So this is a little thing that I have to do. I have to look down. That's the wah. This is the volume. It's not good when you're hitting the volume and you think it's your wah. It doesn't sound as good when you do that. Okay, so now let's talk about just the whole heart of the system, which is my switching system. I'm using the Boss ES8. I've used Voodoo Labs. There's really some great switching systems out there. This one works really, really well for me. I'm able to have 8 independent loops. They call them loops, but they're basically each pedal has its own kind of parallel input, and it allows me then to organize the routing within the programming of the switching system. And it also has inputs for my volume pedal. That's really cool, because by having your volume pedal in your switching system, when you go to the sequencing mode, which means what order the pedals are going to be in, that I can actually put my gain pedals before the volume pedal, and then I can put my delays and my chorus and mod pedals after that. And I like that sound myself because it gives me more of a master volume effect for my gains, as opposed to kind of losing gain structure as I take the volume down. So you can place your volume pedal anywhere you want in the signal chain that you create here. The other important thing that the switching system does, as I was mentioning it, you basically have 800 different pedal boards. And what I mean by that is that I can arrange every one of these pedals in a different order. If I want to have my phaser going into my first gain pedal to create that kind of Eddie Van Halen sort of sound, I can do that by setting up in the loop structure, phaser this before that. One button, I've got that sound. It's programmed in there. If I want to reverse it and have the phaser after the gain pedal, boom, I can program it into this slot right here. The other thing that this system has is it has 8 preset sounds per bank, and I have like 90 banks, so I have like 800 plus sounds I can preset. So I have all these individual pedal board options I can create. What I love about that is that I'm able to put all sorts of gain structure options together and then give them an assignment on the pedal board. And that kind of brings me to the point of how do I use this switching system. I have 2 basic ways that I think about it. I can set it up for, like when I'm doing like the live Led Zeppelin revival shows, I can set it up by sounds. And I can do a whole show with just one bank of 8 sounds. The way I do that is that I'll have on preset number 1, I'll just have my basic plexi sound. And then on preset number 2, and of course each one of these things has delays and verbs on it. And I'll get back to the MIDI programming. And then on 2, I can then have a little more of a boosted sound where I'm using the spark into the Bogner, and that gives me a little more sustain when I need it. I can then take that sound, copy it over to 3, but I can actually add like a short delay, or I can have a long delay and put that in 4. I can have any kind of variety of those sounds, but basically what I'm doing for the Led Zeppelin live shows is I'm kind of creating just different sort of gain structures and different sort of verb and delays for different parts of songs. But basically if I get 8 basic sounds, I can do that entire show. That's pretty easy and that's pretty good. When it comes to my own music or doing some elaborate shows that have a lot of different music with tons of scene changes, especially like when I'm doing my progressive rock material, Colin Woodyard's little pre-promo there, I have the ability to set an entire bank for just one song. So for Colin Woodyard's show, I have up to like 18 songs in that show, and they're long songs. It's progressive rock. What do you want? But I don't want to be trying to fish for a sound. I'd rather have a song title. And then, so what I'll do is I'll set up the opening track of the night. It might be Prelude and Overture. And what I'll do is I'll have the intro sound of that song here. I might have the verse sound here. I might have the chorus sound here. I might have my lead sounds here. I might have special effects here and here. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll put my main rock sound. There's generally usually a main sound in a song, and I'll repeat my main sound. So if I have like the main kind of versey sound down here, I can duplicate it down here. Why do I do that? Because I might be in the middle of a solo, might be having like a long delay or whatever, and I might want to use my wah. So I'll be way over here on the board, and if I want to quickly do a scene change and get back to that basic rock sound on there, that's a big foot move for me. So I'll actually just kind of duplicate the sound down here, so it's a really quick, safe move for me to do on the pedal board, and it just allows me to change scenes very quickly, which for me is really, really critical. I want really snapping scene change sounds, and that kind of flexibility really allows you to do that. But going back to kind of these using the pedal board or using the switching system by song, I'll have one song and then I'll bank up and I'll go to my second song and I can set it up again. Intro, verse, chorus, solos, special effects, whatever. When we're done with that, I'm just banking up, going to the third one. So for that live show, I'm having 18 banks, just see the name, just title them here, and it's pretty slick. The other cool thing you have, if like stuff happens on the road, stuff's going to go wrong, right? And sometimes these are electronics. They will kind of get nutty sometimes. I was at a show just last week, and for some reason, I don't know what happened, but I'd make a sound on the guitar and there was no sound, and then a second later, everything came on. And it's like, uh-oh, what do we do? I literally can kind of mute the board. I can, just kind of go back and I can set the board such that it's not using the switching system. I can set the board to where now it's a direct interaction board. So I'm not using the switching, but when I switch it to kind of open architecture, I'm now that guy doing the river dance where, okay, I'm going to put my gain on here, I'm going to put my univibe here and press all the buttons. But in an emergency, it's great that you can kind of deactivate all that pre-programmed switching and get you right back to just, an interactive pedal board. So that's pretty cool. The last point I want to make is about MIDI programming. And this is where it's just so mind-blowing what these switching systems can do. So I have these 4 MIDI programmable pedals. I have the X-Drive pedal. I have the Mobius Strymon. I have the Nemesis delay, and I have the Ventris reverb, right? We've already covered that. Those are 4 MIDI programmable. So I can go into these pedals, and within the pedals, I can program the delay patch that I want. These give me 8 to work with, just right on the pedal. And then with a computer, you can actually go in and just do 90 different presets. And the cool thing about the switching system is that there's a MIDI program channel selector on each preset. So for example, if I have on preset 1 a sound where I've got everything out the way I like it, and I have my delay in there, and I want it to recall like the 8th patch that's in here, it'll assign it to that. And then when I switch over, if I want the 3rd patch, I can send MIDI information on that preset to that pedal, and it'll change it. And it's just infinite variety of sounds. So I love the MIDI feature of this because I can actually get into all these different layers of verbs and delays and different mods. And especially the X drive, because I can get into any kind of other distortion sort of sound, gain sound with that. So it's really, really cool, very powerful to have switching systems. And again, if it all goes wrong, I can bypass it all and just go back to direct access to the pedal board. So there you have it, my touring pedal board. I hope that this was insightful to you. Hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to hit the like button, subscribe, comment. I love comments. We love engaging you. Want to thank all the new subscribers, and we'll just keep this thing going. We'll see you again. I'm Carl Baldassarre. Hello, go.
Oh, that's in there. That's in the video.
All right.
So take two.
Take two.
From the top.
I love my mini wah. So there you have it. My tour. My stomach just went. Hold on. So there you have it. Sorry. That's okay, Billy. That's okay.